Hey there, friends. This is Bill MacDonald, the Common Sense Math Doctor. And as one of my good friends who's a consultant used to always say, stop using so many worksheets, use sheets that work. The best sheet that works is getting off the paper and allowing your students to become the problem or the numbers, the words, or in the case of this problem, one ray of an angle. The saying that I gave you on the last time we were using protractors was, if it takes two to tango, then it's going to take two rays to angle. So it takes two people to tango. I mean, I guess you could dance by yourself, but you might look a little ridiculous or silly out there. Sometimes we like to get attention, so you're all good if that's you. So if it takes two people to tango, to boogie their woogie, then we're gonna use two students to represent two different rays to make an angle. And I'm gonna show you one, how to solve the problem, and then two, how to make finding measurements of angles more interesting by bringing them to life either on very thin sheets of paper so that you can see through them, or you could even do this idea on transparency film, where if you can still print with transparencies, you can print some protractors, enough for each student in your class to have one, and with a dry erase, wet erase, or permanent marker, they can draw their own little angle like the way I'm going to show you. So we're going to make that not just visual, we're going to make it verbal, auditory, and think about what they're saying so that we can use our hands and make it kinesthetic. So let's take a look and see which problem gave your students so many fits regarding angles again. And so just to remind you of the saying, I'll make myself just a little bit bigger in the corner there so that you can see some of my movements and such. If it takes two people to tango, it's going to take two rays to angle. So the question simply asked, which angle two rays join together at that little circle, that position, to measure closest to 65 degrees. Okay. Now make sure that your students understand that we're not talking about temperature as in Celsius or Fahrenheit, because if I say, oh, it's 95 degrees, oh, that's pretty hot. But if I say, oh, it's 95 degrees, that's just an angle that's a little bit more than 90, more than a right angle. So if you can think of this, measure is the root word of measurement, measurement, three syllables, You can say, what degree? 65. Difference, you subtract. So all you have to do, if you're assigning the students an angle, and you have to tell them if they're the top ray or the bottom ray. In the top ray, we have here 115, and we have 60. What degree? Measurement, difference, you subtract. So 115 minus 60 is 55 degrees. And so if these were two students a ray going through 60 and another ray going through 115, they wouldn't match because you were trying to get them to find their partner that helps them form a 65-degree angle. So they would keep looking. The bottom number, 120, and remember the bottom goes from lowest to highest, from right to left. So when you say you subtract going from left to right, the higher number minus the lower number to the right. And on the top, the higher number on the right subtracted by the lower number on the right. So this time we're going to do 120. If that's your ray name on the bottom, you're trying to find out if the person that you run into with your ray at 120 matches up with the ray who represents 65 to make 65? No. And what sometimes happens is because the ray passes through the degree that we're looking for on the measurement, what degree, they will pick this one. And that's probably what a lot of the 52% who 48% got it wrong did. So whether you check the top or the bottom, these you want to call it these four students, though their four numbers only represent 55 degrees, so we eliminate letter F. 135 is my new name on the top, subtracted from my name over here, 65. My measurement would be the difference, 70 degrees. So when you have two other partners with these two numbers, their difference would also be 70, because you can see they're exactly the same distance apart. I'm going to show you something else with the correct answer, what happens when you just flip the numbers around. Letter H, 115, starting from the larger number on top, subtract 50, we get a 65. And that's what they were asking for, a 65-degree angle of measurement. Measurement, not pass through. And so if we check the bottom, 130 is my ray, and I go find my partner in the classroom whose ray passes through 65. When they do their subtraction, they will also find out their 65 degrees. And so if you can get these two students to find these two students, then that team will be finished, and you can play the game where whoever can find the four-team partnership first is the winner. All right. So our last one, we would select that answer. Our last one, our highest number out at the top, that you can see the arrow over here is looking to my right, to my right, your left, is 180. Notice I didn't say 180 or 180. It's 180 and no other degrees. And I'm looking for my partner, and I find somebody, oh, there's another 65. Well, the other half of your classroom will pick that one because it happens to pass through 65. So remember, it takes two rays to angle. And so when you're giving a measurement, you're giving an angle. So you hopefully this little rhyme will stop your students from looking for where the ray passes, where it's pointing compared to its measurement. So when you say 180 is one line, I think I might have, and I use my other number. If I do the 65 that it's at, I get a measure of 115 degrees. Now, what you might do as an extension, is that an obtuse angle? Is it a right angle or an acute angle? Well, it forms an obtuse angle. So that one has no chance of forming a right triangle if we were to somehow join these two angles together with an extra line at any point. So the other side, the bottom being 115, and I go all the way, subtract whatever number the other degree is, I get 0. I still get the 115. And again, these four students would try to find each other, but what you would be looking for is 65. So I went ahead and went online and I printed out another protractor. And so if you notice, the correct answer had the top ray passing through 115 and the bottom ray passing through 50. I decided to have the bottom ray passing through 115 and the other one passing through 100, sorry, through 50. And when you take 115 minus 50, you're still gonna get the 65 degrees. So even though this one is in a different position than your other one, they still have the same degree. So you could say, I want you to find a partner. And so if the student only has 115 degrees or he has only 50 degrees, you can say, find someone who with your ray forms a 65-degree angle. Well, I can use this 65 and 130 at the top. So if we reverse it, let's say we want the top to be at 130, and there it is. There's the top at 130, and the bottom is at 65. All we did was reverse it. We still have a difference, you subtract, of 65. So here's my suggestion. If you say, all right, one of you has a ray passing through 50 or 130, depends on if you're practicing working with the top or the bottom. And you have somebody at 60, you can say, okay, find a partner that with you forms a 10-degree angle. So the 50 could go with the 60. But what will probably happen is that the 70 might try to also go with the 60, but since those two are already partners, I have them right here, then the 70 is going to have his partner, because 80 minus 70 is also 10. So that could be the partner that he uses. And then 90 could use 100 for his partner. Or if you say, all right, I want you to find, you're the same ray. Let's use the bottom this time. I want you to find a partner who helps you form 20 degrees. Look at your bottom position of where your ray passes through. So 120, he either need for 20 degrees. If we subtract, you subtract 10, 20. I would either have to find the ray in my classroom at 100, or I could go the other direction because I could be the lower number, 10, 20. I could look for somebody whose ray is 140. And so in the case of the ones that I've drawn, 120 would keep going when he gets to 130, since that's not a 20-degree angle. 110, those two would go together because that is a 20-degree angle. We have 120 and 100 would go together. They would also stay together if they were 60 and 80. Difference, you subtract. And so that's the idea, where you can have all the students in your classroom represent the ray of one position on the protractor, and kind of make it a little game. And if you're saying that one student is the 50, a different student is the 130, if two different students have that same ray on the protractor, then depending on the angle that you're looking for, you have them find their 70 and their 110 partner. If you're trying to make what would be in that case 70 minus 50, a 20-degree angle, or 130 minus 110, a 20-degree angle. So I just feel like too many times we're sticking with worksheets, and it allows your students to get out of the classroom. Something else that you can do is you remind them that I'm holding this paper, and I have the little position of the protractor right in front of me. And so if I look immediately to my left, that's 0, because I started right here looking at it. If I just looked to my left, that would be 0. If I stop right in the middle, that would be 90 degrees. Okay, 90 degree position. But if I say looking straight ahead, if you turn 90 degrees, that means you're turning a measurement of where you started, 90 degree to 90 degree. That would be 180 if you're looking at the top, or I'd be at 0 if I was already, if this was 180 degrees all the way to the left, or to 0 to the right. So you can teach your kids, depending on where you start. If you're looking straight ahead, then you're looking at it 90 degrees. So if you tell them, look 45 degrees to your left, that would be 45 or 135 on their protractor, and tell them to point out something in the room that would be somewhere exactly at that point, kind of a focal point, some object in the room that could work. Another fun thing is you're looking straight ahead. I need something, if 0 is to this way and this is 90 degrees, I want something that's an acute angle. So I would need to be looking from here, somewhere from this position to 0. Name me anything that's inside the position from 0 to 90 degrees. If I'm saying I want something that would be an obtuse angle, if that was again 0 over here, you can say, oh, tell me something that's about 100 degrees, 110, 120, all the way to my hand stretched out. 180 degrees is the straight angle. So these are just some fun ways to play with the measurements of the angle. And just as a reminder for you to write it down, it takes two people to tango, two rays to angle. So get your students, and if you want to check top and bottom, then it would take four rays to angle, and you can make a game out of it. So hope you liked the video, and I'm hoping that since we have about 50 days left, I just want to know, just type this word in the comment section. If you watched this far, one word, just type yes. I'm going to offer a special deal from now until the test. I am hearing some news that with some of the math curriculums, the programs that are being used, and with the level of engagement that they don't have, that many students are still functioning at 20, 30, 40, and 50%. What I'm going to offer from now until the test is how to help you I'll do based on the demand, how to improve your scores from now until May from 30 to 50% in 30 to 50 days, depending on when you watched it. So many of you have been following me. I have almost 1,000 followers on math. I'm going to do the same thing for reading. What I want you to do is type the word yes in the comments section if you would like to participate in having me help you raise your math percentages from 30 to 50% over these next 30 to 50 days. And my price is going to be a simple $30, and you'll get all of my math materials. You'll get all the posters. You're going to get all the new math problems that I make, because some of you are going to message me and give me a specific skill. And it doesn't matter what state that you teach in. You might teach in the state of confusion or think that you do because your kids seem to be struggling so much. It does not matter. If you teach math from third, I'll do a third through fifth group, and then I'll do like a 6th through 8th or a 6th through 9th if you're struggling with some algebra concepts. I am a math minor, so I consider myself very skilled, and I just think of a different way to teach things that are very difficult. And people ask me, how come I sometimes use analogies and kinesthetic hands-on materials? Well, they asked Jesus one time, and by no means do I consider myself as this greatest teacher that ever existed, but one time he was talking to adults, and when he finished, his disciples were telling him, we're a little bit confused here. How come you always talk with such unique methods? How come you don't talk normal like you do with us? And he wasn't even talking to children. And a lot of people, a lot of teachers, sometimes secondary teachers think, no, I'm not going to water it down. No, what you're doing is you're helping your students who need differentiated instruction, because Jesus said they have eyes, but they don't really see, and ears, but they don't hear. And unfortunately, many kids have mouths, but they don't even speak, because you're not requiring them to say anything or do anything. And so if you're not using a total physical response with your kids, then one of those ways that are right there above my head to my, what would that be? This is my like I'm gonna call it my 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 left, but it's technically my right. So everything in the camera is reversed. I'm going to just highly suggest that if your students are struggling and you want some extra time, I'm going to specifically help third through fifth grade teachers in one group. And I won't be posting these videos for the public to see. I'll just be posting them uh, as unlisted videos in my YouTube page, and I'll only be sharing the links with those of you who sign up for them. I'm going to be getting the page ready in my website, but I just need to know that there's enough of you out there that will say yes, that will want to have some improvement, and you just need a different way. And I want to remind you, last year on the 2021 test, 7 out of the 12 worst scores, when you looked at all the grade levels from 3rd through 10th grade and all of the subjects, 7 out of 12 were in math. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. That means that every single tested math grade, the overall passing percentage in terms of percent correct for each question, the lowest performing based on average percent correct was in math. And so if you're still using the same curriculum, the same program, then let's differentiate our instruction. And I will say this, I can't guarantee that 30 to 50% of your students are going to get masters, but I can guarantee that 30 to 50% of your students are going to go from extreme failing to the most improved students in your class. Some of your students are going to go from the most improved to actually get approaches. Some will go from approaches to meets, and there's going to be a few that just need a few more techniques, a few more things to help them remember forever. And I'll leave you with this. My godson Noam told me when he went to my wedding a couple of years ago, "Thank you, Mr. MacDonald, for coming to my wedding. I'm so grateful." I'm like, "I have to come. I'm your godfather." He was my student as a fourth grader in Mission, Texas. And he was like, "Well, I know that you're so busy and that you travel all around Texas helping students and teachers." And I said, "Well, but I could not, your sister and you are both my godchildren. I wanted to take time to come for you." And the funny thing was, he said, "Thank you for your math strategies." And he was already 26 years old at the time. And so 16 years had passed since he had been one of my students in fourth grade in Mission, Texas. And I was like, "What do you mean, Noam?" He was like, "Well, you teach in such a weird way." And he meant that in a nice, positive tone, that I was using your strategies in middle school and high school. And so all of the things that I've been teaching you guys and showing you over these last few weeks and months, you'll get all the tests, the practice tests for free. Um, I highly suggest that if you have sixth graders working on a fifth or a fourth grade level, then you're going to get free access to the fifth and the fourth grade tests. You're going to get all of them, so you can kind of pick and choose for each person. I just ask that for each person at your campus that you purchase one, because this is how I make a living. Life is not free. As many of you know, since COVID, the world pretty much shut down, and there's been a great sacrifice, but I have still maintained that my ultimate goal is to help you, help your students, to help you be inspired and encouraged. So that's all I ask you as I'm leaving today is just write the word yes. So at the end in the comment section so that I can know there's enough people that want to show growth with their students over these next 30 to 50 school days that you have left before the test in May, um, depending on when you start watching the videos, that get approaches, meets, or masters. And I can pretty much guarantee that because if you show me a problem that are giving your kids a problem, I will lose sleep for you at night thinking of a way that's differentiated instruction that will bring that problem to life for you and your kids using one of the what I call the six senses. God bless you guys. You're in my prayers. You take care. And I look forward to working with several of you and hearing about the great success stories that we will create together. Uh, and uh, may we all live happily ever after the end.